Thank you everyone for coming today. I am happy to see so many faces. Today's presentation is part of our Parent Academy workshops that we provide every couple weeks for parents on different topics. And today's topic is phonics instruction, how we do it in the classroom, how you can support it at home. And then we'll also talk a little bit about the report card and how you can understand it to make sure that you're understanding exactly how they're being assessed and the different markings that will go on. So our presenters today are from both Lincoln, Washington, and the Kindergarten Center. So we are equitably represented and hope you find this very informative. There are packets on the tables. If you need more, just let us know, and this will be posted. So if you have any questions afterwards, or if any of your friends weren't able to make it, just let them know. All right, thank you so much.
Hi. We wanted to first off by starting and welcoming you and introduce ourselves for those of you that haven't seen us before. My name is Jennifer Lala. I'm the reading specialist for second grade over at Washington School.
Go ahead. No, you go right ahead.
I'm Marianne McCann. Oh, I don't have one of those.
There you go.
Got to squeeze it?
Nope, just hold it, just like that.
I'm Marianne McCann. I am the RTI teacher over at the Kindergarten Center.
And I'm Mrs. Shelsa. I'm the reading specialist here for first grade and also an RTI person here at Lincoln School. So Jen's going to start off our presentation. We're going to go through just a little bit about what we're going to do today, but we just kind of wanted to get a feel for what age group of students we have here. So if you are a kindergarten parent or guardian, do you mind just raising hand? Okay, we have a lot of kindergarten. What about for first grade? Second grade and third grade. Okay,
Or what
perfect.
if you've had a student that's already been in one of those grades and this is your second time around, seeing it differently with a new program? Okay. So we will be talking from kindergarten all the way up to third grade. So it is a new program. So if you do have a child that's seen phonics before with a different one, it is very different. Okay, so we do have a schedule for today. We'll do an overview of the new UFly program. We'll do a sample lesson for you of day 1 and day 2 of what your child would see in the classroom. Afterwards, we'll have different resources for you to see both on the UFly website, ones that we've provided for you that give a little insight to what we do within the classroom. Afterwards, we'll discuss a little bit of updates with our curriculum and then the report card spanning from kindergarten all the way to third grade, and go over a little bit of the vocabulary that's changed just so that you are aware. And we also have within your packets that you'll be able to take home. It explains it as well, so you can take notes on it or you can just keep that with you. And then at the end, we'll wrap up with any questions that you have and provide you with some answers. So as we begin, our new phonics program is UFly. It is an explicit and systematic phonics program developed by the University of Florida Institute. It segments words, it connects letters to letter patterns, it recognizes and applies common spelling rules, and all of these different things in simpler terminology means it goes in a scope and sequence. It goes from identifying a letter all the way to letter patterns, to forming words, to then being able to decode them and put them within sentences and a text. So it's a very specific way of saying we're starting out simple and we're adding complexness as we go. And it's all planned to help your child build. So they're not responsible for something in second grade that they haven't been exposed to in first grade. It's building blocks as we go. So you'll see with the new program, since students haven't had it last year, if they're in first, second, or third grade, some skills might be new to them since it's a new program, but you'll see the following year, it'll be a little bit easier since they've already had it and the skills build on top of each other. Are there any questions so far? So if the terminology is a little complex, we'll just explain it in a little bit of simpler terms as well. So we have a sample lesson for you. I'll be doing day 1 that the students will have, and Michelle will then be doing day 2. So we do have, we're going to go right into our slide deck.
Do you want me to click it for you?
Sure.
I don't know if it will work on it.
So all of the teachers in their classroom, they do have their manuals, so they do exactly right from here a couple of different drills. You're welcome to join along if you'd like to, just as if you are the student.
Just one moment.
technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties.
As we are starting, this is exactly like the classroom. You never know what's going to happen. But as we begin to start, we always begin with the phonemic awareness drill. So that means we'll be blending some sounds together. You're already ready to start blending them. And then we'll segment them right afterwards. So there we go. I'll just keep it up like this in case. We'll go right over here, phonemic awareness. We have over here where we do some arm tapping. Depending on the teacher that your child has, they might use their fingers. Either way, it's to show that each sound is a different tap, a different finger to separate them. So I'll do the first one and then I'll ask you to join in with me. So our skill today was on AI and AY. So we start by introducing it, but they're not aware they're even doing it yet with the drill. So I would say we're going to blend together a word. Watch me, then you try. A. You try. A. Put it together. May. May I please have a bottle for my new friend who entered the room? And we incorporate the students so they're part of it as well. Our second one, let's try this one. Watch me first, then you try. S, w, a. You try. S, w, a. Sway. I sway side to side with my skirt. So we give them a little context just in case they aren't aware of the word. We'll do a couple more. W, a, t. You try. W, a, t. Wait. It's important to wait our turn. So you see each sound is a different tap. They watch me and then they try it as well and we put it together to form the word. Our last word has a lot of sounds, so get ready for a lot of taps, okay? S, t, a, n. You try. S, t, a, n. Stain. Oh no, I have a stain from breakfast on my shirt. And then they might laugh and we continue. Okay, good job, my friends. Now we're going to try and segment. So I'll give you the word and then you have to break it apart. So last time I broke it apart, now it's your turn. So watch me for the first one. I'm going to say pay. You say pay. Let's break it apart. P-A. Pay. So now we're doing the opposite of what we just did before. We'll try a second one. Watch me. Gray. Gray. G-R-A. Gray. I see that you have gray sweatpants. We know that this is a color word. We'll do one more. This is a long one, so we're going to have lots of different taps, okay? The word is green. You try. Green. G-R-A-N. Grain. I found a tiny grain of sand at the beach. So you notice as it's longer, we try to enunciate it slower because it's a lot to remember. So we have them repeat it or mirror it after us. So then we'd go on to our next part and we have, okay, good job. We have our schedule. They're checking it off we go through. Next we have our visual drill. Put that right up. So with the students, it would be a little bit different since we've been doing this within the classroom all the way from September. We would have a letter or letters that come up and they're responsible for knowing the sound. So I-R, they'd say Would you like to help me with this one?
Sure, of course I would.
Hi.
Ooh,
3 sounds. Make this 3 different ways to spell. Make the same sound. So we've done bossy R. They've covered that. This is also a 1st and 2nd grade lesson. So kindergarten parents, don't worry. If your child doesn't know that yet, it's coming.
Or.
Wow, this is important to mention. You can hear or like in for, but guess what? You can hear an sound like in neighbor. So we wouldn't focus on that there's 2 different ones unless we've taught them both. But we'd mention it so they get used to hearing it.
Or.
Oh, wait a minute, or before. Now we have it with an E, like in the word before. So it's quick and we go through this probably within about a minute or 2.
R. Ooh, this one makes 2 sounds.
Does it?
It does. I and E.
So Y at the end can say I like in my, it can say E like in happy, but wait a minute, can it say anything else? Yes, it can. Y can also say Y, so it makes 3 sounds.
J,
Good job.
G, or J.
So we would have students sometimes write these on whiteboards, and they can hold it up for us. And if a student only has G that says G, they're correct. But it can also say J, like in giraffe, but it's still spelled with a G. So we show if they only know one, it's acknowledged that you have it correct, but there's more than one way to do it. So if they've seen this skill before, they should be able to be responsible for both. Ch. Good, the T is silent. Ch. K,
Or S.
good. We have k, like in cat. The students don't see this, but I put it up for you as an example, just in case. We have k, like in cat, but yes, C can also say S, like in face. And the students learned that when they had the magic E at the end.
A, or A.
So a long vowel or a short vowel.
I, or I. O, or A.
What a good job you're doing.
Thank you so much. E, or E. U, or A. Nk.
Good job. Like in pink.
Ng.
This is a tough one. Ng, like in song. We don't really hear the G, but we know that it's there. Okay, we did our phonemic awareness drill. We just did our visual. We have our auditory drill. This time, I would go back over to my manual. I would give you a sound, and the students would write on their whiteboards that we have here with a marker, use their eraser. Some teachers might have it documented in a notebook if you ever see that those go home. And over here, I have a sound that I'll give, but just like we showed you on the board, there might be more than one way to spell it. Okay, if you'd like to try this, you can. You could raise your hand, give us the answer if you'd like, but you don't have to. Michelle will be my student.
Got it.
All right, the sound is What way or ways can you spell
So then the students would write the ways that they remember, because they would learn 3 sounds that make the sound.
So if Michelle only had 2, I might say, wonderful, you have 2 of those. Is there another one that could also add to this to say and then we'd have the third one so that they're exposed to all of them. Nice job. Let's do a couple more. Let's try R. Nice job. A-R says R. Now notice I'm not saying That's just the letter R. I'm saying R. So that's bossy R. We'll try 2 more. What about E? We have E and EA, 2 different ways, and our last one. Okay, we'll do one last one. Listen carefully. There are more than one way to write this. So students are already thinking, okay, there's going to be more than one right answer. Ch. What way or ways can you spell ch? So we know CH says ch, like in the word much, but we also have, just from that presentation before, that silent T that says ch as well, like in match. So we would provide examples if the students only had one. Are there any questions so far about the different parts? It goes a lot faster because the students do this every single day, so they're in a routine. But for the purpose of this, we just went a little bit slower. Okay, so this would all be review so far, and then we would be going into the new concept. We'll do, I have to use just the computer there.
Yep.
Sometimes it doesn't match up with our board. So the next one we do is a little bit of blending with the students. So I will be right down here and a word will come up on the board. Could you read it for me? Now wait until I get the whole word up because it might look like you have it, but it might not be the entire part of a word. Okay. What's the word, my friends? Skirt. Good job. I'm going to change it. Get ready. Skirt. Nice. So see how we're manipulating part of the sounds? So before the students were responsible for breaking it apart in more than one way, now they're decoding it all together, putting those skills. So we'll do a couple more together. So we have shirt. Now look what we're changing it into. Good, short. Nice job. Don't be afraid. You can definitely say it out loud if you know it. Nice job. Port turns into? Turns into? Look at you guys. You're on a roll. Let's keep doing a couple more. Mat. Good job. Nice. Gonna make it tough for you. I'm going to add the ending. Look at that. I couldn't get you guys. All right, last one. Good job. Pat on the back. You've been doing fantastic. So you see how we manipulated not only the beginning sound, we went into the middle where our vowels were, all the way to our end sounds, and we also added suffixes. We started to add that ES to it. And as you go through the grade levels, you'll start to see ED will come at the end, ING, so we're adding those on as well, but still expecting the students to read the entire word. So manipulating it, they really have to decode it within their head. So it does take a little practice, but you'll see within the classroom, they start to go like this, and you're like, wow, that's amazing. So they are very capable of doing it.
And I know we have a lot of kindergarten parents here. The suffix that they'll work on a lot is S. So once they get to that letter S, they'll teach them that S can mean more than one. So even at such a young age, they are already still learning those suffixes and how they change the meaning of words. Where's our presentation? Where did it go? Slide deck back up.
Okay, we're right over here, which brings us to our new concept. So that was all a little bit of a review. And now we said today we're going to work on the sound A, like in acorn. We form it with our mouth. A. You can see by the letters, they would watch my mouth as I do it. I would have them try to do it with me. Afterwards, we'll say, there's more than one way to make the A sound. You've already learned A. We've already done A with a magic or silent E. It hops over to make the vowel say its name, like in cake or bake. I might say, oh, Laura, I heard you had to bake muffins yesterday, giving that example. But today, we're also going to look at A within an open syllable. Baby. Oh, welcome, baby. It's so nice to see you in the room. So today we're going to practice vowel teams. That's when two or more letters work together to make one sound. So we also have little catchphrases. When two vowels go walking, the first one does the talking, and these will be in your packet as well. So today we have AI. AI is going to work together to say A, like in the middle of a word, like ate, bait, ale, male. But AI can also come at the beginning of a word and say A, like in the word aim, or also in the word aid. We have AY. I saw AI came in the middle, but it also came in the beginning. AI is going to say A, but we are only going to see it at the end of a word. And I might say, where is Y in the alphabet? Y is at the end, so whenever I hear AY, I think Y is closer to the end, it'll be at the end of a word. Like in the word, may or say. So again, we have our vowel sound A can be by A with a magic E, A on its own long A, but we learned our two new ones today. AI says A and AY says A. So watch me read a couple. Rain, say, away. Let's read some together. Try with me.
Wait.
Nice.
Name. Paint. Clean. Way. May.
Good job. Couple more we'll try. Good job. Some of these words were the ones that we tapped out, if you realize it, back from before. So they had that exposure before they even knew what the spelling was. Good job. We added that suffix, ing. And I might stop there and say, why does this one have a capital letter? It's different than all the other ones before. Does anyone have an idea? Sunday is a day of the week. It deserves a capital letter. So we'd go over little ones like that. Then we do a couple of spelling together where we might use the whiteboard. They might use, sometimes we do Pop-Its, a different multisensory resource. And that would bring us all the way,
as well,
yes,
a lot of
magnetic journals to the end of day one. Are there any questions so far? All right, so then a whole day goes by, and it's the next day of day 2.
So that first lesson is a lot. That first moment is about a lot of review of what they already did in the past. Then at the end of the lesson is all that new skill. So then the second day is going to review everything that Miss Lala did in the beginning. So I'm going to go through this just a little bit quicker just because of time's sake. So whenever they start the lesson, we would always start by reviewing the new concept of what was taught from the previous day. So one more. Yesterday, we learned that there is vowel teams, and vowel teams are 2 vowels that come together to make one sound. And does anyone remember what vowel teams we worked on yesterday? AI and AY. So what we learned that AI, so this is now more conversation with the students. So we would say, well, yesterday we learned that AI makes the A sound, but where do we hear that sound? Do we hear it in the beginning, the middle, or the end of a word? Does anyone remember? Beginning and middle. So then we would show the students, again, as a reminder, AI comes in the middle of a word, like in the word bait, and also in the word male. But we also learned that AI can come in the beginning of the word, like in the word aim or aid. We also learned yesterday AY. AY also makes what sound? A. And where did we hear this one? At the end of a word. So then we're just reiterating what they learned yesterday. So AY comes at the end of the word. It does make the A sound, like in the word may or say. And we know now all 4 of these sounds. So in each classroom, we have kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade. These are displayed differently. So some teachers have posters with it, some have cards, and after each lesson, we build on the card. So every time they learn a new skill, this is displayed for them so that if they are spelling words that have the A sound, they might say, oh, your word does say A. Maybe they spelled it with AI, but this is a magic E word. So they can have those choice of what sound with the A sound they are going to choose from. So now what they would do is they would practice reading these together. So just like what Miss Lala did the first day, it's just reiterating the skill. So we would read wait, paint, say, and away. And this would give them the opportunity to look at the words and say, oh, in the word wait and paint, where do you hear the A sound? Oh, it's in the middle of a word. And I know it's in the middle of the word, so I'm going to spell it with AI. So just showing the students different types of examples. So we would start off with a new skill, and then we would go with the word work. So with word work, they can do it many different ways, like Miss Lala said. A lot of teachers, just for time's sake, use whiteboards. So what they would have to do, Miss Lala, would you mind just using the whiteboard for me?
Sure.
Okay. So students are given words, and then they're meant to manipulate the different word. So if I would give Miss Lala the word rain, can you write the word rain for me? Very good. Now, Miss Lala, can you turn rain to pain? Okay, so see how they're changing the words? Now, Miss Lala, can you take away the P? Can you add ST at the beginning? Can you tell me what word that makes?
Stain.
So they're decoding and encoding. They have to realize how to build words and how to change words to make new words. Any questions? Nope. And then this is irregular words. So I even know when I was little, I was given a list of words that I had to memorize to spell. So we call these heart words in our district. And the reason we call them heart words is because there's parts of words that children can sound out, but then there's other parts that they just have to memorize. Like if we look at this word said, we just learned that AI makes the A sound, but in this word, it's not saying the A sound. So they have to memorize or know that part by heart. So we start off by reviewing not all of them because they do learn a lot of words, but all the different words that they've learned previously. A lot of the times we would say, what is this word? Mother, what is our heart part in this word? It was the letter O because O typically makes the ah or O sound, but in this word it's not. It's making it's making a schwa sound. So the students have to memorize, rather than memorizing the whole word, they know that they can sound out the M in mother, just memorize that sound, mother. So just memorizing that one part. What's this word? Brother. And our heart part, again, pointing out the heart part. Why is it the heart part? Father. And then they would be introduced. They are given the opportunity to spell these, but there's different ways that we infuse this also within the classroom. So they would practice their dictations and things like that. Some teachers like to just practice them writing them on the whiteboard, building them with letters, but then they'll be introduced to, typically it really varies on the week, but they typically don't have more than 3 a week. It's usually between 1 and 2 words, but then some weeks are a little bit heavier. And if you notice, some of the words, for example, first grade this week is go, so, no. So they're going to have similar patterns so that the students can identify that heart part and be able to spell them a little bit easier. So if we look at this word today, does anyone know why that O is the heart part in this word? Anyone want to tell me? Don't all jump at once. So instead of it making the O sound, it's making that t-oo sound. O doesn't typically make that sound, so that's why this part is the heart part. But in all the other letters, t, oo is our heart part, d, and we already learned that the A sound is making the A sound at the end of a word. So they're just identifying that one part that is the irregular part. Okay. This one, we've already learned that ER makes the sound. So if I would go to sound this word out, the very, that's not right. So we have to remember that the ER in this word is making the sound, or air sound, the airy, very. And then this is the part that each week we're really practicing and having the students either spell the words on their whiteboard, building them on magnet boards or in sand trays, whatever is appropriate for their teacher. Okay, so far we did our new concept, we built words, we did our regular words, and now this is the connected text. So the connected text is going to be, it could be sentences, it could be words, it can be a story where the students are getting to practice reading that specific target skill in the context of reading. So if we sometimes are given sentences, so their friends will stay here today. So if you notice, we do have the targeted sound in there, so they're getting to practice reading these words not only by themselves, but also in the context of reading. Let's read this one together. We will wait at the main gate today. Oh my goodness, there's a lot of words that have that A sound. Does anyone see 2 words that have the A sound in the middle of a word? And some students might say gate, and we say, oh, yes, that does have the A sound, but that's a magic E, but these are the ones that we're working on this week, okay? So they're identifying the different types of vowel teams and the ways to make the different sounds. Can you water the plants if it doesn't rain? So one of our heart words, too, if you notice, was water, and water is one. So they're seeing the target skill and the heart words, everything's infused together. Then we practice writing sentences. So I'm not going to have you guys do that because you do not have pencils, or it might take a little bit longer. So the sentences will always have a targeted skill. So I'll give you an example for this one. So one of the sentences, my mother may paint her nails today. So I would say the sentence. So I would say, my mother will paint her nails today. You would repeat it back to me. My mother will paint her nails today. Then we would count how many words so the students know. My mother will paint her nails today. 7 words, that's such a long sentence. So some students like to draw 7 lines so that when they're going to write the sentence, they know that each word is going to be a sentence. So they would write, my mother will paint her nails today. Teachers would walk around, check and make sure that they are spelling the words correctly. If not, helping them, guiding them through that. Okay? And then decodable text again. So this is some teachers within the school use these in different ways. Sometimes they'll send home a decodable passage for homework. So they might say to you, I read that in school. And what we teach the children is rereading is just helping them build their fluency, their confidence, and all those types of things. So if your child brings home a reading assignment for homework and they said they read that in class, this is where they might have seen it. I know first grade uses it for like a phonics center. Some just use it as a whole group. So these stories are a little bit longer. So they all are targeted just like the sentences to the skill that they are covering and also including all the heart words. And if you are getting those homework assignments and you're seeing all these stories, you'll see that students may be circling words from that targeted skill, underlining their heart words, and that's just showing them just extra practice of what they're doing in the classroom. And then that would be the end of day 2. So a lot of day 2 is just new skill. We do a little bit of review, but it mostly is reiterating what they did the day prior. Okay? Any questions? Yes?
So I think this is probably a little more difficult because we're kindergarten,
Yes.
second, third, and some of this sounds like it'd be really tough for the kindergartners to do.
So they do. The lesson structure will be followed the same way. Now, as I know for kindergarten right now, they've only introduced, I don't know, maybe 8 letters so far.
Yes.
So as they build, you're going to see that. So for example, I know they've done F-I-N, I believe. I was looking at the kindergarten scope. So they might not be doing the sentences yet, rather than just reading words. By the end of kindergarten, when they will be doing stories like this, much shorter. But they are, at this point in the year, they will not be doing those. Or maybe they're doing it more guided rather than by themselves. But by the end of kindergarten, we were talking to Ms. Coy the other day, and she's like, it's amazing. Like some of them are reading already, and they're so little in kindergarten, but they still follow the same structure. So the story they may not see yet, but they will eventually over the next upcoming months.
And about how long in a day do they work on it?
So it depends on the period. I know for first grade, it's about 30 minutes. It seems like long, and we're going through it, but the kids are in such a routine that it goes so much quicker. For kindergarten,
It's about the same.
about 30 minutes.
Yep.
Some teachers will break it up a little bit, and it's a lot of movement. So they're not just sitting on the rug for 30 minutes just staring at a screen. So if they're going to like write the words, they might be going back to their seat, building it with magnet boards, coming back. So it's a lot of up and down and back and forth. So to them, it might not seem like one lesson. These are so much to do. They might think it's writing and spelling and reading. So it's all together. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Yes.
If your child pretty much sounds out all of these words,
Yes.
should we then be focusing more on how to spell them?
So do you mean the irregular words or all together?
Just in general.
General. So what grade is your child in?
She's in kindergarten, but she started learning how to read in Montessori when she was in pre-K-3.
Yes, so absolutely. So we want the children sounding out the words in the beginning, especially in kindergarten, is saying each sound and blending the other. That's our bells, so we switch, it's very loud. However, if you find, especially with the heart words, always practicing those spelling, just to reiterate, because those words that are introduced, they're expected to read and spell. But I think if you want to enrich them at home, absolutely, I think that's a great way to do that.
Students start by encoding it, where
Yeah.
they break it apart until eventually they see the word and they know the skills like AI after a while. Main, they're able to do it a little bit more effortlessly. It builds on the blocks. So while this is here, they will transition to get there too. But that's the start of reading.
That's great. Any other questions about this? Sure.
So my son's in first grade. The way he describes when they work on reading, it's like in different groups, and they do this center or whatever, that center. So are you personally doing this in each first grade?
This is
classroom?
so that's a great question. So this would be considered phonics in your classroom. Your son seems like he's talking about guided reading.
He also talks about phonics, but not. I guess I'm confusing the two. Because you do this as the whole.
This,
person.
yeah. So this would be the whole group. Now, in the small group, they might do more work with this. So this is something that we're constantly just infusing into our lessons. So in the small group, they might be reading a story that's a decodable story. For as guided reading, it's actually a physical book that they're having to decode words, but also identify sight words, understand the story with comprehension. So that's just, it's too different.
But that's what he's doing with. I guess for him, it's his teacher, but some of them are working with different teachers.
You also saw day 1 and day 2, so it might be day 3. They're breaking off
Oh.
into centers. One could have a game. One might be on the Chromebook. One might be reading a story. And the teacher might be circulating to each one, but they're still all on the same skill. So that could be something different too that he's doing.
Interesting, but this is always done with the whole
Group.
class.
Always
Yes.
first, but then the teacher can infuse different in other ways just to reiterate it.
To just target those specific skills, and that's how you differentiate. That's where the differentiation comes in. So now you have the lesson taught when they work into those small groups. And so how do we push them to that next level? Because that child already knows how to use those words, but now how do we more fluently apply it to our reading? Or we still haven't mastered those small the individual phonemes, how do we work on those? So it really varies, and each classroom's grouping will change too.
Interesting. Okay. So they're doing the phonics with their homeroom teacher,
Yes.
not with you guys.
No.
They're doing reading with you guys.
No. So yes, as reading specialists, our job is we support all children. So we push in. I know here at Lincoln, I can only speak for Lincoln at the moment, but we push into the classrooms just as an extra teacher. I am a co-teacher to those students. So if we are working with those teachers, we may be covering those skills, but this is taught in the homeroom. Okay.
I have one more.
Of
question.
course.
Just maybe you're going to cover this, but how does it translate into their test on? I guess there's Friday for Lincoln.
Yes.
When I'm practicing with her, should I just follow? It's in her little notebook.
Yes.
I'm just following exactly kind of what you guys went through. That's what she's going to be tested
Yes.
on.
And that's the thing. These word lists are not what we are typically given when we were all in school. They don't just get a word list. They have to be able to utilize that school in the skill in a variety of different words. So if your teacher, and every teacher is different, is giving you a word list, those are just examples of words that may be on the test, but you'll notice they will follow the skill that they're working on for. So if you're practicing at home, practice spelling the words, reading the words, heart words, they want to be spelling them as well, writing them in a sentence, so any way like that would be perfect.
And it's important, I think, just to add, there's also what we call nonsense words, so it's really just making sure you understand the skill. So again, back to it's not those 10 words you need to know, is you need to be able to utilize that skill in any type of context. So that's where a nonsense word would come in. Okay, it's not a real word, but are you able to break it down into those sounds and the same thing? So that's how that can work too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember being in school, obviously a long time ago, and we always did syllables. Do you guys talk about syllables?
Yes. So there is lessons that progress as they get older. So they'll talk about open syllables, closed syllables. They'll do 2-syllable words, but it will depend and vary based on the grade level. So a lot of time for kindergarten, they're going to be doing open and closed syllables, but it will be shorter words. Like cat is a closed syllable because it ends with a consonant, which I'm going to go over actually for phonics roles. And they might do the word go, but as they progress into different grade levels, those skills will vary.
Okay, but in these grades, you're not really doing that?
They will, yes. I would say first grade starts to touch on it more towards we'll talk about open and closed, but it will get into multisyllabic words more into second and third grade.
So how we said it's the building blocks. So while they might mention it in kindergarten, they might do a couple examples in first grade. And second grade, we might be more explicit about it. And then in third grade, they're expected to have 3 and 4 syllables. Okay. So it'll build off it. So they're still getting exposed to it, but they're not being responsible for knowing it just yet.
And they'll be asked to utilize if the word's puppet, okay, they're doing puppet, right? So what's the first part of the pup? Okay, now use all these skills that you've learned, and now we're going to do the word pup. What do you hear the second part of the word? So that's how they'll help support them too.
I was going to say for multisyllabic words, if they are doing it, they'll tap out both syllables, like puppet, spell pup first, up, and then et. So that's the way that they'll teach them to do it. Okay, all right. Heart words.
Ms. Shelsa also mentioned this. There is within your packet ways to teach heart words at home if you're looking for some fun activities, whether they're Play-Doh or chalk. That is within your packet, some ways to do that.
Okay.
So sorry. I'm going to use that to get where I can touch that screen. And it'll go. Oh, no.
If you want to explain, just let me know and then I'll click that.
Okay. Okay. Well, there are lots and lots of resources in this UFly program for you parents to use with your children at home. The first one is the parent letters. Some of you may have seen them. There's an example of it on the front page of the packet. Some of them are sent home electronically or digitally. In the kindergarten center, they're going to be in the monthly newsletters that you will be able to go online and see. Some of you, again, you may have had them in your child's folders. The other thing that they have is UFly has a parent resource hub, so if we can click on that, you can see that. And in here, there is tons and tons of resources. These are for the parents to go through. You can spend hours going through. One I want to show you specifically is this one. If you can just click on that, the blendable sounds. And if you can kind of fast forward to 49 seconds. This is a video where we have commercials in these things at the beginning. This is a video that is put out by, this is Dr. Holly Lane. She's one of the founders of the UFly programs. But in this video, she explains each letter of the alphabet and their pronunciation, their proper pronunciation, which is really important for the kindergarten parents that are here to work with your kids. If you can just, 49, I think she starts with the letter A. There we go.
The most common sound for A is the short A, as at the beginning of apple or in the middle of sat. The sound for B is M, as at the beginning of ball or the end of web.
And she goes through the whole
The
alphabet.
most common sound for C
We could
is
just stop there, just so you get an idea. But that is really an important resource that you might want to check out with your children. You can close that down, please. Thank you. Another thing is the UFly has a game generator on their website, and there's about 6 or 7 different games that you can play digitally on your computer with the children, or you can print them out. They have their version of a tic-tac-toe, which would be heart words, can be used into that. Same thing, they have their version. They don't call them those things. A Connect 4. There's a bingo game on there. There is a game board that can be tailored to, and parents can tailor it to. If you go to the help section on it, you can add in your child's words to play them. There's a couple of roll and read at the bottom, and at the bottom of page 2, if you go to that website, that will direct you to the game generator. It's in the resource tool area of that, and that's there. In your packet, you also have a cheat sheet that goes over different topics and spellings for the different areas that we have covered already.
Yes, I'm going to briefly go through them, like it's pretty quick. But what I did is I made you, do you mind if I just, so what I made you is I just did tables for each skill. These are not every single skill that your child will learn, but it will give you the rule for the different patterns that your children will learn. So I'm just going to go through a couple of them. If I go through all of them, it would take a pretty long time. So as early as in kindergarten, the children are learning the sounds of C and K. So we teach them, rather than just that C and K make the K sound, it's when do we use them. So we teach them that C can go with A, O, and U. So like in a word like cat or cut, this is a visual for them to think about. If I'm going to spell the word cut, oh, U goes with C, so it's not going to be a K, it's going to be spelled with C. K, like in the word kit, they know that that K is like a kite. These posters the teachers will make or hang in their room, and when children are going to spell their words, that visual really helps them to spell their words correctly. Fizzle is, people in Lincoln, Washington Kindergarten either call it fizzle or floss, and they'll teach them that double S, L, F, and Z get doubled at the end of a word with a short vowel. So like in the word off, there's our vowel. They hear the sound, so it's going to be a double letter. TCH makes the ch sound like CH, but it has to come right after a short vowel. Now, these are rules. They mostly are followed, but sometimes kids will be like, well, what about the word much? There are rule breakers, so we just have to tell them that. We tell them that names don't usually follow our phonics patterns, but these rules are just to help them spell their words more effectively. So syllables, this is as early as kindergarten that they would start, is identifying that a syllable is just a word or a part of a word with one vowel. So they're just learning that all words have to have a vowel. Now, as they progress into second and third grade, and even at the end of first, they will be doing multisyllabic words that have more than 2 vowels. And then open and close, which I was talking about before, they learn that the vowel in an open syllable will make the long sound or its name, like in the word go, because there's no other consonant at the end. It's open, so it's going to make the long sound. And closed syllables end with a consonant, so it's making the short sound. Are controlled has to be one of the hardest things for children to remember, especially ER, IR, UR. They all make the sound, so we teach them just different ways to identify what sound is it. So they might spell bird, B-U-R-D. So these are just some tricks that I put in there. ER comes mostly at the end of the word, or if you're comparing things. IR can be like nature words, number words like dirt, bird, number words like first or third, and that just gives them, this is a nature word, I'm going to spell it with IR, and UR hurt words like nurse and burn. Again, there are exceptions to this rule. It just is trying to make it a little bit easier for the kids. Days of the week is for UR. Magic E, they are introduced to this in kindergarten all the way up until 3rd grade. They learn that the E at the end is silent, and it has magic powers to jump over the consonant to help the first vowel say its name. So ache, the A is making that sound because the E, the magical E, is helping it do that, but we don't say anything else. Suffixes, they'll learn that if S makes the more than one, but ES is making the is sound, and if it ends with S, X, CH, S, or Z, we're going to be adding ES to make the is sound. Like in the word dish is, we hear the is sound. ED makes 3 sounds, D, T, and id. And they'll learn that that comes at the end of the word, making it happen in the past. ING, just adding ING at the end of the word, happening now. And this is something that's going to be introduced starting in 2nd grade, but 2nd, 3rd, 4th. They learned how, when they're adding these suffixes, there's rules. So the first one is if a word is a magic E word, like in bake, they have to drop one of the E's and then add the suffix. So bake, we drop the E at the end and then add the suffix. And I think 2nd grade is actually learning this either this week or next week, is like in the word running. If a word has one short vowel, it's a 1-syllable word, one short vowel, and ends with one consonant, we have to double the consonant at the end and then add the. And some of you, I'm looking at your faces and you're like, wow, it's insane that these children can memorize these rules, and they do. So just practicing those and you having these, I know when I first started teaching, I was like, what is this? I didn't learn this in college, and we had to learn these different ways to do things, but it's amazing to see these kids actually be able to apply these rules to their spelling.
And they're coming home with songs like 1, 2, I need to W.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, just ING. So they have little ways that they'll remember that are silly too.
Yes.
And they'll help you as well. You know,
Yeah.
They're catchy.
AI and AY, which we did, they'll learn about where the placement is of a word. And again, these are all vowel teams, so I put all the rules in there for you. I don't think I have to go through every single one of them, but if you are spelling a word and if your child is at home and you're practicing things with them and you see that they spelled a word incorrectly, you might say to them, oh, I hear that at the end of the word. Did you learn that? And one thing I want to push is, especially in the lower grades, kindergarten and 1st grade, we don't want you to be spelling everything for them. We want them to build that confidence at building their own words and spelling their own words. So if they are doing their best to stretch it out, especially in the beginning, let them. If you notice that they are maybe missing a sound, guide them through that, but try not to give them the spelling. And then more vowel teams.
And that brings us to the awaited topic of report cards. So within your packet, you actually have a report card vocabulary cheat sheet. So there's a lot of terminology that's updated because the new report cards are a little bit lengthier to give you so much detail. With updating our standards, we've updated our curriculum to all reflect that within the report card. There is a new grading key that will come out that has a CI on it. The concept hasn't been introduced yet. That's one of the main new ones. So they might have just seen something, but they haven't formally been assessed on it. So any vocabulary that you're not really sure about it, this is very helpful. For instance, the word grapheme, if we didn't go to school for it and I was just sitting there, I'd say, what on earth is a grapheme? Okay, well, it's just letters. That's an easy way to put it. So this is really helpful with going into it. But just to give you an example of a 2, 3, or 4, a 2 would be approaching grade level. So most of us have heard the story of the 3 little pigs before. Most of us. That might be if we ask your child to retell us what happened. Oh yeah, the pigs were in a house and the wolf came and tried to blow the house down. That would be a 2. yes, that is what happened, but where are the details? What else happened in it? So a 3 grading might be, well, there were 3 little pigs, each one built a house, the wolf came, he couldn't get it, and he huffed and puffed a little bit. So you see how there's a little bit more detail? Yes, now you said there's 3 houses, there's 3 pigs, and you told me the ending of the story. That would be a grade level response. But if you're taking it to the next level and you're exceeding with a 4, you might tell me exactly what each pig built their house out of. And you're repeating the phrase, and then the wolf huffed, and he puffed, and he couldn't blow that one in. And they'd tell us each different house, and then the ending, and then what happened, and they might even tell us the words problem, solution. So do you see how a 4 would be exceeding what it would be with lots more detail? So that's where we're going with approaching, meeting, and exceeding. So I would expect at this time of the year, there would be a lot of 2s and 3s, which is perfectly normal. If you don't see a 4, right now we are looking for what's beyond grade level for that we might not be teaching within the classroom. But again, 3s and even 2s are approaching. We're working there, and we're getting up to grade level. So
And
if we don't,
the 2s, I want to reiterate
Sure.
on that, is it may have been a newly introduced skill, and maybe applying it in isolation, like by itself, but maybe in their writing, they just need a little extra support. So if you see those 2s, it's just that we're still working on it. But there's no reason to be alarmed. I know the numbers are a little different, but that 2 is okay for your child to have.
It's not like ABC.
Yeah.
Like that's, I know a lot of people like they anticipate
Right.
like they want their child to have all 4s, or if they see the 2s, they're like, oh my gosh, they're like, it's really just showing where they are, and it doesn't necessarily mean that there's any issue. It just means there maybe need to be more fluently applying the skill or transitioning it over.
and you might see as across the trimesters, they may have had trimester 1 and 2, and then automatically it just clicked. And in trimester 2, now they have a 3. So that's what we're looking for too. If we introduce something, are they able to then apply it? So a 2 might be with guidance, they can do it with our help, but a 3 would be they can independently do that. So we have just a little bit of the report cards that you'll see. They are different from the ones previously. They are much more detailed, which is wonderful because it gives you more insight into what we're doing within the classroom.
And the first one up is the kindergarten report card. And just to give you a quick example, the first one, demonstrating understanding of the organization and basic features of print. What that means is print is words. So the children are learning at the kindergarten level that letters are put together to make words. Words are put together to make sentences. When you put those words in a sentence, you put a space between them. Sentences have end punctuations. Letters have uppercase and lowercase letters. Uppercase letters are used at different times than lowercase letters are. When we read from left to right. When we read, we also read from top to bottom. Those are all different features of print that are assessed at that level. An example of a CI, which is a concept introduced, which you will see on the kindergarten report card, is recognizes and produces rhyming words. They have learned words. An example would be the word sat. They know the sound s, at. We may ask them to manipulate that word by putting the beginning sound which would make the word mat. We're going to tell them that mat and sat have the same end sounds, and that is what a rhyme deals with. But they're not going to be assessed on rhyming words this trimester. So CI, the concept has been introduced, but they are not being assessed on it. An example where you might see an NA is in this last one here, reads emergent text with decoding accuracy. Since the first trimester, they're basically just decoding words. Very simple sentences, but we're not going into decodable text as of yet. So this area will have an NA, which means it's not assessed at this time. Next trimester may be assessed with it. Okay, that's kindergarten, some of the kindergarten.
Thank you.
Maybe we could just speak to the general report
Yes.
card, because
So
I think we're-
the one thing is you'll see the progression. So a lot of these on the report card, you'll see things that are concept introduced, like Ms. McCann was saying. not assessed, this would be part of a first grade report card. And then there are things that are just going to be introduced. So if you are seeing that the score is an A, we just didn't get to that yet in our school year. This would be first grade, and this would be under the foundation skills for reading language. A lot of the phonics that we talked about, they're applying it in their spelling, their reading. So you'll see it under reading, but you also will be seeing it under writing as well. So that's just a little clip of this would be the writing.
Yeah. So to branch off with that second and third grade, it's a similar skill that's just building blocks. They are more specific about what type of skill it is. For instance, we mentioned the AR, the ER, the IR, the UR. That would have a specific section on here where you'd see that it's introduced. It would be graded as well. We said the numbers reflect what it would be as well for meeting or exceeding. But it just follows the same scope all the way up to third grade for what they're held accountable for. But you'll have the grading key on the report card to let you know exactly what they are, just in case you leave here and you can't recall it.
Do we have progress reports?
Yes, if your child needed one, they were sent out by the school.